Alright folks, Vinicius here from the Cloud Advocacy team at Microsoft, and today I'm going to show you Copilot in Azure for helping with your kubectl commands when managing AKS. Now, if you are using Kubernetes, most likely the tool that you will use the most is kubectl for getting information about your Kubernetes cluster, your pods, your deployments and everything, and interacting with your API server. Now, if you are using kubectl, most likely you remember from the top of your head what are the commands you want to run and what are the parameters and everything else. And that's where Copilot in Azure can come in handy. So let me show you. I'm going to open Copilot here, and we're going to start interacting with it about my AKS cluster. So I'm going to say something like, show me the details of my nodes in AKS. And the first thing that Copilot will do is try to determine what is the context of the operation you are trying to do. So in this case, it doesn't know the name of the cluster, it doesn't have the context from where you are operating in the Azure Portal UI or the blade or anything. So you need to set up what is the cluster you want to perform these commands. So I'm going to select the option for select cluster. I'm going to select what is the cluster I want to operate on, and then Copilot can actually go and execute the command on. So here you go. You have the command here, the kubectl get nodes-o wide, and I can simply click run command and Copilot can actually go and execute this for me. If you are not familiar with the run command option in AKS, it's essentially a way for you to run a command inside your Kubernetes cluster directly from the Azure portal, rather than having to open a shell and then executing kubectl, downloading credentials, and so on. So here you go, you have Copilot executed the command for me. That's a very simple way to see what are my nodes. You can see that I have Linux and Windows nodes here from my control plane, as well as my worker nodes. Everything is fine. Now I can try to get some more information about the workloads here, so I can say something like, show me all the pods running in this cluster. Now, the tricky thing here is that you are probably familiar with the kubectl get pods command. However, I specifically said to Copilot, I want the pods that are running when you run the kubectl get pods command. And honestly, from the top of my mind, I wouldn't remember what is the filtering option parameter that I can provide to the kubectl command. And that's where Copilot can help with those things that you don't remember from on top of mind. So I can click run command. You can see that he added the kubectl get pods in all the namespaces, and then it provided the information for filtering the selector here for the status that is running. So if the pod is not with the status running, it's not going to show up in this list. I could filter, for example, for the ones that are not running, or error, or other messages that I can provide to Copilot. And it can help me craft the command that I can run then and see the information that I really need. Now, Copilot can also help me get information about specific resources, like for example the pods, so I can provide to Copilot what is the pod that I want to operate, but there are limitations here. So for example, let me give you one example. I can say something like, show me details on the pod, and then the name of the pod, and let's see what it does. So I can see here that Copilot knows what to do, but then it is asking me for the namespace of that pod. And that's because kubectl, you can't just simply say kubectl get pods. You have to specify the namespace that you want to execute that command. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to run the same prompt again. So I'm going to say, show me the details of pod, name of the pod, in the default name space. There you go. And now it should bring the correct command to execute the prompt that I provided. There you go, kubectl describe pod, and then the name of the pod, and then it gave me the namespace option in the kubectl command. So I can click run command, and it will run and give me all the details about this particular pod. So now I can say something like, show me the logs of the pod and then in this namespace. So the more context it gets from what we're trying to do and where you are trying to operate, the more intelligent it becomes on providing you with examples of things that it could bring to you. So for example, I could simply click here, show me the logs of the pod number X, and then what is the namespace that this pod resides. There you go. So this is the kubectl logs, the name of the pod, and then what is the namespace of this pod. And I can click the run command. This will execute on the left-hand side, and I can see all the logs that came out of this particular pod. So there you go. So this is an easy way for you to use kubectl without not even necessarily knowing what the command that you want to execute or the specific things that you need to add to the command in order to filter or to say something specific about a resource. So Copilot in Azure can help you when you run kubectl commands directly from the Azure portal. I hope you like this content. Remember to like and subscribe this channel so you get all the information that we're going to be providing in the series of videos. Hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.